Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm joined by Inge. Welcome. The reason I invited Inge is because I was very inspired when we worked together at Randstad Belgium about your leadership, but also your vulnerability to learn in your journey. So today we're just going to chat about leadership and how you look at leadership, how it can help to be more customer-centric, make a difference. But before we do that, let's first start with your background. So the longer story from what study did you do until now where you are in Randstad Belgium?
I go back like 25 years ago. Then I started at Randstad, so it was my jubilee year this year. I studied communication science in Belgium at the University of Leuven. And I had no clue what to do with it. It was for me, I tried 1 year to work in the media as a sport journalist.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it wasn't really my thing for doing that in a professional way. It was nice to have that as an extra job, but not my main job. So then I worked in an office of Interlabor, which was the
pre-Randstad.
Yeah, the pre-Randstad. And I asked the consultant there, do you have a job for me? And she says, well, maybe you should think about working with me.
Join us.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, why not? Yeah, the good thing was that it was very nice and quick process. I had a very immediately an instant click with the organization.
Why? What made you feel it click?
That personal approach. They were very they really listened to me. They were very open to me. I had an instant interview on the spot there, so I wasn't prepared at all. And they asked me, "Hey, what do you think we are doing?" And I was just answering with just the things that I knew, but they seemed to be the right things, so that was okay. And I felt a connection. So I phoned my mom and I said, I think I have a new job. And she says, oh, but you still have to do like tests and a process. And I say, I know, but I'm feeling that I'm gonna have it. So yeah, 2 weeks later, I got the contract. And I started as a consultant in Randstad Bruges, where I live in Belgium. And being around with blue-collar people who work in, for instance, food companies where I never entered before, or that was a whole new world opening to me. So that triggered me. I'm always into learning new things and seeing new environments. So that was very nice for me. And I'm also quite result-driven, and the business was going well, so we did a good job. And then my father, my brother, were all working in the port of Zeebrugge, which is a big port in Belgium. But that's 25 kilometers away from the office of Bruges, and I was thinking we need to be in the port to deliver to the port community. So I asked my boss for 1.5 years, can I start up a new office of Randstad in the port? And then we got the permission to do that, a very low budget, together with one colleague, and it was really like pioneering.
Starting your own business, I can imagine almost, right?
That's the thing. I felt like an entrepreneur. Yeah. And there is an entrepreneur inside me, but not like being a real entrepreneur, because now I have the safe environment of Randstad to try out things. Yeah. I knew if it would fail that I could go back to my old chair, but I wanted to try it. And we were young and we were free and we were wild and but that's exactly what we needed in the port, because you need a little bit of guts to talk to real port blue-collar men, you know. They came in our office, rough guys, but they really the community really supported us, and they knew, oh, if we need a job we need to go there. And also the clients, they were all competitors to each other, but they had one thing in common: they worked with Randstad, you know, and it was a great time. So like in 5 to 6 years, we were with 8 colleagues, so it was a nice growth. Yeah. And then I moved to being a manager of that office. Then I moved to another division of Randstad, which was Randstad in-house services, because my clients got bigger too, and they moved also to Randstad in-house services for service for big clients. So I moved with them.
Did you feel a difference? Because it's often there's a natural line in moving from being a successful consultant to being a manager, but maybe being a manager is not even something you like. So was that sort of something that you felt a difference, or did not really make a difference? It was sort of natural and it made sense?
It made sense. It was very natural. I was already like the leading consultant of but it was many people told me it will be hard to be the manager of your own colleagues, because I was one of them, and then I became their manager, but that was very okay. Because I didn't change. I was just now in charge, and I was there +1, but in fact I remained the same person with the same passion, with the same drive.
It was more a formal thing than
it was a formal thing, and of course they knew I would defend them also into the organization if things needed to be done or for the office. So no, that was okay. Then I moved to the in-house team, and that was for me that was the biggest step, because I left the people that I knew and that I love and where I was appreciated, and I went to a whole new team where I didn't know anybody, but I really chose for the content of the job, not for the people. That's also something like a fil rouge in my career. I never make the choice for people, but always for content. Interesting jobs. So I went there. I was branch manager, but the whole process thing triggered me, and branch manager, after a few years I could say, I know that job. I can do it. I'm okay with it.
Not super challenging anymore?
No. So I went to process management, which was a deep dive into spreadsheets and pivot tables and all that stuff, and very financial and data driven. But that was very interesting for me, because it was a little bit out of my comfort, but for me it was really, it gave me a base for my later career, because I needed the data. I discovered I'm a leader that makes decisions with my heart combined with
data. A data-driven heart.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, that's a nice one. Maybe, okay. Data-driven heart. So a few years as process manager, then I switched to the other side, which was the commercial part. So no process anymore, no people anymore, but only commercial relations with the clients. Also very interesting, because then you try to figure out what is really important for that client, what is he looking at, what makes him happy, and then you see that you often get into very emotional situations where I was always put, I don't know why, but I was often put on situations where the client wasn't happy and was very important to Randstad.
You were the fixer.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Inge, go there because we have a problem there, and it's really important that we get it done. And I did a few of those big clients, and every time again I started with, okay, what is our role here? What are the basics that we haven't in place? Because it's always about, we have a strong concept, but when you look then at how we are doing our own stuff, it was not okay. So fix the basics, and then while doing that, I was always looking, okay, but also at the client side, there are things that need to be changed. It's not only us, but start with your own, to clean up your own mess. And then you have a base to go to the client and say, hey, we've already
done our homework.
A lot of things, but I see this, and then they are always open to change things at that moment. And mostly when they see the results of our own thing combined with data. You have to have grip on the process to see that, for instance, they give the orders like within 4 hours before start, instead of contracting people 24 hours before start. You know, those things that makes it difficult for us. And so I think in 2018 Randstad asked me to work on a project which was lifelong Randstad, and that was really, I had no operational assignment anymore. I could just, together with one colleague, work on a paper and an experiment what makes companies and talents working together with Randstad for their whole career, their whole life, starting with a student job up till retirement and everything, and what are the moments of truth there in that roadmap. So that was really interesting to do for 2 years. It was a kind of a luxury position, if you ask me, but I learned a lot. I really felt like, wow, can I do this? And then there was an opportunity to step into the board of directors for operations. And it was in my home area, which is East and West Flanders in Belgium. So I applied for that job, and that's what I'm actually doing now for 3 years. I'm operational director for a team of 10 managers, about 100 consultants, and we are working in 22 offices, doing 90 million euro sales in a year, something like that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
And what did you expect when you applied for the job? What did you hope to find by being a director?
What did I hope to find? Of course, it was within my own company, so I knew already a little bit how things were going. But the colleague who was before me did the job for 19 years. It was already clear to me that I will not stay for 19 years there. That's not me.
How long did you say you were already working for Randstad?
25. But I did
different role.
7 jobs in 25 years. That's what I'm always saying. I'm in the safe environment of Randstad, and I can move
Experiment.
and do my thing. That's the great thing about working so long for a company. They know me, I know them. But I was out of operations at the moment where Randstad introduced, we call it ABFS, activity-based field steering. And looking from a distance to what happened at that moment in the field, I was like, wow, what are they doing? Because it was very strict steering on how much activities you need to do with your talents, with your clients, what kind.
Like strong KPI, task-driven, right?
KPI, task-driven, very numbers all the time. That was the kind of communication that was installed. Was that the purpose of the whole thing? No, the purpose was really to enforce people, to learn, to make them think, okay, if you need a starter, there are actions that that you need to do to achieve that. But the conversations about the figures were very only numbers. And it was like
not so much learning.
No, and the humans were out of it. We didn't spoke anymore about talent.
Zana.
Talent Zana, talent Inge. No, we spoke about numbers. So
starter.
And there were weekly calls with the manager and the director on the numbers, and I was like, no, that's not how I am going to do it. So that was the first thing. Luckily, there was somebody at Randstad who was working on customer delight. And I met her, Zana, and I met Caroline de Rosa, of course, also. And I was triggered with that one slide that Caroline and you showed me on reaching the 8.5 or 9 on customer delight. That gives such a big impact on the results that you create as a business. So I was like, okay, what are my customer delight figures? And yeah, they were not bad, but they were not good either. They were like 7.8, 7.9, sometimes was it an 8? But yeah, it was already for years a little bit at the same level. Not a bad level, but how can we make up the step to that 8.5 or 9?
Yeah.
And I still remember that I reached out to Caroline and said, I want to have a call with you on how can I move on to this, and that she says, okay, I'm going to ask Zana to join.
Yeah.
And there starts our collaboration, I think, then on how we could do that. And at that moment was for me the first time that the link was made between customer delight and employee delight to really empower the potential of the people that I'm working with. And I was like, of course, because I only know a little bit, and we are with 100 people in my region who work every day with those talents and those clients. They have so much information for me. Yeah. How can I get it? How can we know it to move on? And then parallel with this, we had at Randstad, of course, that London Business School.
Dan Cable philosophy.
Dan Cable philosophy.
If you don't know about it, definitely Google Dan Cable and Alive at Work.
Yeah, surely. And that was really for me like activate the seeking system of your team members, make them think they know so much. It will energize them also, and it will have an impact on your customer delight, and so furthermore on your results. So I was totally convinced of that, because it was something that I experienced myself. I have always been an entrepreneur at Randstad, and I never checked the boxes of you have to do so much contacts with your clients, you have to do this. As a consultant, I already said, you can ask me to do 10 contacts, but I do my business and I have my results. And then nobody complained, but in some way, the way we communicate, some people just doing their things without thinking. I need to do that, so I will do it.
Pure execution.
So
I think to me, so one of the interesting topics, of course, because we're talking in the essence about transformation, right? Whether it's customer experience, whether it's more empowerment, whether it's digital transformation. I think the key topic that also connects us is our firm belief in, but hey, if we energize, empower the employees, that's sort of the key to everything else, right?
Yeah, sure.
And we'll dive into that a little later as well. But my question is, so one of the things, because leadership matters, right?
Luckily.
Luckily, in your case. But if, for example, I'm sort of more and more, well, let's say maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I would judge like almost every manager super hard here, just Excel sheet managers. I had a very strong opinion. But now I'm a little more, maybe also grown up, I've seen a lot, and I don't have the arrogance anymore to think, hey, if you put me in such a system, because it's an organization system, I'd probably make sort of the same mistake of, okay, I also fall into the tasks here to make it black and white. And then more and more I'm realizing when you see like articles about leadership, I mean, it's impossible to be a good leader, right? You have too much ego. It's short term. Your task steering too much. Most companies suck at digital transformation. They suck at customer experience. So with all those opinions, is there something for you as a leader when you develop yourself that you either listen to this, you ignore it, or how do you navigate, let's say, your own leadership skills in such a, well, maybe crazy environment?
Well, in fact, it may sound a little bit arrogant, and it isn't the case at all, that I don't read a lot about how to be a good leader. I see sometimes interesting leaders around me that inspire me. I also see leaders that I think, no, that's not me, that's not how I'm gonna do it. I really follow my gut feeling on this one. So I think it's a combination of what we just call like the head and the heart, the data-driven heart, data-driven heart. That I'm doing. I cannot be somebody else, I'm not playing a role at all. When I compare how I raise my daughter, I just go in the same way with my colleagues and my employees, if you call it like that. So I don't like the word employees. For me it's really like
colleagues.
My team, my extended team, not only my management team but my whole team. So
it's interesting. So why do you like to use the word employees? What association do you have with that?
It's like they are less than the rest or something. I don't know.
Higher position.
I'm not hierarchically. It's very hard to pronounce in English, but you know what I mean. No, not at all. We all have our own role in the team, and if there is a final decision that needs to be made, I will do it. Or if there is a flag that needs to be planted where we are going, I will plant it after consult my whole team. But in the end, everybody plays his role, and it's very, very important for the whole group. So that's how I look at it. So I have a deep convinced that we need to always look for root cause solutions and not just always fix the things, but I'm also a fixer sometimes, so I balance between just fix that a little situation, but think about how can we prevent it the next time. And then, for instance, if my consultants ask me, hey, can you give your you're okay for make a commercial, how do you say toegift in English? I'm looking for the word.
Do as in give some extra sort of
yeah, to a client.
Reduction of the fee?
Yeah, something like that. Can you give a reduction for that client because we made a mistake and we want to do a reduction? Yeah. I'm always saying yes, but I'm always asking, and how are we going to prevent this? So I challenge them on, it's okay, you made a fault. We are humans, we are making faults all the time, but how can we prevent doing this? Because it's an unhappy client now, we have to look at it, it's not good, for you it's a bad experience because you want to do your job in a good way. So is it about the system? Can we change something in the future? And having that conversation makes them always think, okay, that's nice. And you give them the safety, and in the meantime you make them think. So I never say, when I get such a mail, just okay, I always ask extra questions.
Extra layer.
They are already laughing at me. Okay, if we ask something, we're gonna have the next question again. But it's a kind of a gimmick already. It works. So those are the little things also. So, I'm just a natural leader in that case. Yeah.
So then, is it even relevant to you, the whole debate about being a manager versus a leader? Do you think that that's a valid discussion to have, or you feel that's not really a difference between the two?
I think we need to do both. I manage things that are that need to go. I manage especially an environment in which people need to work and behave and be when they are at the job. For me, that's the most important thing, to create that good and safe and fun environment. I do not manage their daily tasks, please. Not of my managers, not of my team. They know what processes and what tools that we have to do their job, but we give them enough things that they can manage it. We learn them to manage themselves, and so I don't feel like I'm a manager by
micromanaging.
No. I once had plus one myself who was really into micromanagement, but that was her way to try to get a grip on the situation. But on the other hand, she was very smart, and I could have conversations with her like, okay, no, don't do that with me because it's gonna...
It's ineffective.
It's really ineffective, and I'm gonna block, and I'm gonna maybe become angry if you continue. And then she was like, okay, it's good you say that to me that you need that. So we were on a good page, but for some people she continued being very managing, and you see people like, whoa. But on the other hand, I also see people asking for micromanagement.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that to me is one of sort of maybe the essence of the experiment that we try to do, is at the balance between, let's say 99% of all companies are KPI driven task steering still, right? Mr. Frederick Taylor created this 100 years ago, and everybody's trying to figure out, okay, we want, for example, more empowerment. And one of my key learnings is that, okay, we want to give empowerment, but indeed employees feel like, but maybe this is too much empowerment, right? So we need to have some sort of balance in between. Yes, not only tasks here, but also not, hey, enjoy, good luck, and do whatever you want. And I think that was also part of the experiment, and I think also the managers and leaders. So what I see sort of two levels, and the employees feel, okay, it's also kind of challenging, but also leadership feels, management or director, okay, this is also a bit challenging because I need to let go a little more.
Of course.
Which is pretty scary.
It is scary, and especially, it didn't feel scary for me, but my biggest challenge on this one was that I always want to move on quickly, and that it takes more time to go into the conversation individually with each person to get them on the same page. Than just to say what they need to do. You have the illusion that when you just say what they need to do, that you go on quickly. But that's
in short term.
That's the thing. There are moments that you need to do that when there is something really urgent, crisis situation. You need to do that. But those need to be exceptional. So that was my main pitfall in the whole thing. I always want to move on. I want to have the results also. I'm results driven, you know, but it was interesting to experience, because in the beginning, when we worked together, I still remember we gave them a lot of freedom, and we just skipped my management team.
Yeah.
We just went to, and I'm still convinced that that was the right way to go, to first start with the consultants and with the employee layer. But then after like a few months, my managers were like, hey, where am I in this picture?
How do we fit in? What
do we need to do? What do you expect from us? And we had that interesting discussion then with them, how they can play their role. And that's what needs to happen, because if you start with the managers, it's again a top-down thing that they have made up something, you know.
We need to do this.
We need to do this. So,
I think also the balance of when in any transformation, because I'm also a firm believer of, let's say, bottom-up approach. But also I think that too often, at least in my learning, is that we sort of connect with leadership too late. So I think we can already sooner, if you really want to get in the DNA, we can already work on both layers faster in the beginning. And one of the things that, as I mentioned in the introduction, why I was inspired by you is also your sort of vulnerability in this process to learn as well. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you might see some subliminal PR of Randstad. That's not because I'm receiving any financial benefits. But the example that always stuck with me is our idea was to give these as a gift to, let's say, the ambassadors, right? The ringside coaches, as we call them. And that was for, let's say, 12 to 15 colleagues. That, hey, it would be super cool at the start of our journey to energize, inspire them. And then one of your first responses was, hey, but good idea, but shouldn't we do that after we've sort of realized our goal of X% amount of revenue? And we were like, no. Our idea is our thesis is that we inspire and energize them, and that will accelerate the results. And
unconditionally first, just give it.
Unconditionally. I think that's a beautiful term for it. And then something clicked for you, where in the end you said not just the shirts for the ringside coaches, but we're going to give this to all the 100 colleagues in the region. So what's the process in your mind? What clicked or what switched?
Well, I think the conversation that I had with you and with Caroline and the rest of the team who was helping us on this, that you really say we need to unlock the energy and the good vibes in this, and we make a strong we give a strong signal that, hey guys, we give you this because we believe we are going to reach this as a group, and it's kind of a belonging, you know. I was always looking for also a theme of my group, and we now have the Bond team, you know.
Not James Bond. That was very, very faux pas on my end. It's B-O-N-D, but it's not James Bond.
You were like, okay, but that was a nice one between us. So no, but the Bond team is still there because we wanted to create that.
But maybe you can explain a little what the B-O-N-D stands for.
It's Dutch words. But the B is for we would like to have better conversations with each other, with our clients, with our talents. So very good, the human forward thing of Randstad. O is in Dutch, it's ondernemerschap, so entrepreneurship. The N stands for nieuwsgierig, curiosity, being curious. And the D is discipline. And in the beginning they were like, discipline. We don't like
super energizing.
No, and I said, but guys, it's one because the
basics.
The whole thing is also about being an entrepreneur doesn't mean you have to show some discipline in your actions, but you can choose where you're going to put your discipline into. But coming back to the shirts. I was, it wasn't so hard to convince me, I think.
I can verify that.
But maybe my first reaction came out of something that was also, forced is a hard word, but expected from my +1 and +2, that all of these would lead to better results.
Exactly,
And if you see at the name of our project,
Yeah.
it was Leave the Pack.
Yeah.
It meant, okay, how can we grow the distance between us and our competitors? Yeah, you see, the name was already very, very, very result driven. So I really felt also as a leader the responsibility, I need to deliver.
Yeah.
So that's why I made the link to the results. But that was way too early in the process.
Yeah.
And in fact, by not focusing on the results, but focusing on the core, which is the energy and the inspiration and the belonging and the sense of they feel like, okay, it's important what I'm doing, the results will follow. You have to trust that process.
Yeah.
So yeah, it came from there, and I still remember the conversations we have with the CEO of Belgium, and he was always asking, okay, and how is it going, and what initiatives have started up, and when you see they were little, and the results they were okay, but not like wow. But it's hard to measure all those things, of course, because we also had COVID times, so the whole economy was different. Yeah. But what we felt in the region with giving that trust to the consultants, we got a lot of feedback from them that it really helped them in being them best self at Randstad. So that's the thing, what it's all about, to feel that you can grow to your best self.
Yeah. And the best self is also, in case you also don't know, is one of the concepts that Dan Cable, so in the book Alive at Work, one of the concepts he introduces is being your best self. Yeah. And we made that super practical in an exercise and where you just think back 5 minutes, when was a moment where you really felt like, wow, this was my best self, or I couldn't wait to run home and tell my partner about it. Right? Yeah. It really, I've done this exercise, I think, across the 19 countries with Randstad, and every time, goosebumps guaranteed. Yeah. It really switched the energy in the room right away. It's really, really, but credits to Dan, we just tweaked it a little.
Yes, but and the good thing is, everybody, if you are a starter or you are very experienced in the job, can answer that question, and because it's something that really is very close to them as a person, you know, and then you recognize them as a unique human being with a role in the organization. Yeah. And now we are using it still after our experiment at Randstad, but we even ask in official great conversation that we have with our colleagues, how can I support you as a manager to be your next best self?
Oh, nice.
So how can you get that next step into your professional being, but also your being.
Personal.
Your personal being, and having that conversation, you can capture. Okay, they need a little bit support there, or they just need more freedom, or they need they need to be inspired by a colleague who is very good in that.
It gives you sort of a guideline, maybe, to how you can best help them?
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. That's the starting point, and from there you can ask them, okay, and what can you do? What can I do? What can the organization do? How can we create that environment that you can grow to that? You know, and that's really interesting, because then you are on a personal, you're making a personal development thing, but not to have the results as such, but the results to follow.
It's a less transactional HR thing, but it's a more, let's say, human development thing, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. But some of them are then answering very technical, and that's also okay. If they feel like I need to have, I need to have something technical, and for others it's very, more like emotional, but that's also okay, you know?
Well, you know, in at least in my context, right, with customer experience, but also you have sustainability, you have digital transformation. I think many leaders, so I think from our listeners, I think we have a selection of leaders more in your role, and you have, let's say, CX, or people who want to transform something. I think for both perspectives, I think you as a leader, any operational leader gets, I was about to use a word that maybe I shouldn't.
Oh, what's coming?
A long list of topics, like you need to be more sustainable, you need to be more customer centricity, you need to be more digital, etc. Right? And by the way, I also have an operations to manage. So for anybody, let's say from my perspective, who wants to facilitate you as a leader, I take you as an example, but more generic, what can we do better, more, to facilitate you in making that transformation?
I really believe in the approach of working with the employees. That's for me clear. Especially, I think it also depends a little bit on the business that you are in. I'm in a business where, employees really make the difference. Okay, the tech part also, and when I look at the digital transformation, it's also part of the happiness of our employees. If the tech support that they have.
If you have shitty systems every day, that's also not helpful.
Because we promise as Randstad that we are human forward, but if you are then faced with with a lot of transformational interactions that you need to do because of the system that is not supporting you, then your happiness goes down too. Because in fact, we look for candidates that are really passionate about having that great interviews with candidates and having that good connection with clients, you know. So we have to look at that digital transformation, but I strongly believe that my clients are happy, and they say it to me, if the consultant is doing her job in a way that the client feels that she's happy, that she or he brings
she likes what they like what they're doing.
Totally. And sometimes my consultants, it's a problem, for instance, right now, that it's hard to contact people. When you do like calls for 1 hour, you have 2 people that's picking up their phone and 8 voicemails. That's the thing. I recognize it by myself. I often wait also to listen to my voicemail if I will call back.
We text instead of...
That's the thing. So, but then my consultants sometimes say to me, okay, it's even hard to reach clients because sometimes we have a good talent sitting at our desk, and I want to call some companies to say, hey, that's maybe a profile for you, but then the client isn't answering our phone call, so I need to mail them, and then it's lost because they receive like 100 mails a day, you know, and the chances of my candidate are gone. But the thing is, if your client knows you and knows that you are that very, how do you say, nice person of Randstad, where he wants to listen to, and that being a little bit light, or a light in their day, you know. If I have the person of Randstad on the phone, there is always a smile on my face. I get a happy feeling. I want to hear her, you know, or I want to hear him. He's very authentic. He sometimes makes a joke, and I'm like, okay, if I see that phone number, I will pick it up, you know. If they feel your energy and you can bring that to then he will pick up the phone. So make sure that your client feels that, and that he's, but that's, and then it will lead you to the results. But for many consultants, it's like, what are you telling now? And I just then give them examples of their own experience as a client in another company, you know, and that makes that helps them. So I think if you ask what can you do, in a combination of customer delight or customer experience and employee experience is on that topic. Make them, make leaders, give them the insights how they can create the happiness with their employees.
So whether it's sustainability, CX, any, let's say, topic that's not operational, for you the key would be to sort of explain how it would help your employees. Something is beeping. I hope it's still recording.
I hope too. Like, you cannot see it. There is no. No,
I don't know. Okay. Let's assume that we're still recording. Okay, so it's to prove the value that it will add to your team, not your employees.
No, my team. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Alright. I was just checking the notes, but I think we had. I think another one. So I think most companies are struggling with this topic of how can we empower our employees more. With your experience, what are, I don't know, 3 or maybe 1 key tip that you would have for colleagues that are in the same role as you to create more empowerment within their teams?
It's easily said that you need to have a safe environment. So you can say that. It's safe here to talk up. It's safe here to fail. But the proof of the pudding is in the eating.
Yes.
So we, each time when something does not go in the right way, it's very important to have that moment of reflection and give the safety and say it's okay. For me, that's a really, really important message. So you can say it in the beginning, but you have to repeat and repeat and repeat it all the time, and people have to see the proofs of it.
Yeah.
So that environment of energy and fun. For instance, don't take yourself too serious as a leader too. I'm doing that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't care, and I'm laughing, and yeah, you know, I'm not behaving like ho ho ho, and you see,
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Creating the environment is very important. On the other hand, I think it's important to have that personal approach. Every individual is different. They enter your company with some expectations. Make sure that how you present yourself in your employer brand campaigns and so on, that it's the reality,
Yeah.
but there is often a gap.
Yeah.
So don't overpromise in your employer brand.
Yeah.
You can always say that's something we want to become. We are not there yet.
Yeah.
Are you willing to help us on that
the
journey?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a very big difference. But
Yeah.
many companies promise that they are. Okay, so that's for me also an important one. And yeah, no input steering. Just really focus on. Let them come with ideas, and sometimes it's a really small idea, and sometimes I'm thinking, oh my god, no, been there, done that, this ain't gonna work. But let them do.
Then what do you do?
Yeah, well, you and the team learned us to give them the freedom to experiment, but in a limited way, so they can say, okay, we want to try this for instance, 6 weeks.
Yep.
What are we going exactly to do? So that's hard to define.
Yeah.
Very hard. And then you have to have the discipline.
Yep.
So there comes discipline always to follow that up and to see, okay, if we are doing, do we reach this? And so that's the thing. They had a lot of resistance against the whole registration of the experiments.
Yep.
Because it needed to think them about measurement, how long, all those things, and finally make the evaluation if it worked.
Yeah.
And so they are still doing that, but it's me who is still every management meeting asking, okay guys, and are there new experiments with the consultants? What are they doing? Explain to me how why this didn't work or why this worked out. But then, and that's something that we are still lacking, is to share all the time those insights. You know, people do not have to do or find all the time new things or exotic things. It's all about basics.
Yeah, exactly.
And to share those insights and to be vulnerable about, hey guys, I tried this.
It didn't work.
It didn't work. It was a lousy idea, but I was convinced. And maybe it's not because it doesn't work for me that it wouldn't work for you, but at least you have my insights.
Or you tweak it and then it will work.
Yeah. So the sharing of all the learnings, the discipline of following up the experiments, the tiny habits also, because I see many people being fixed in a system. They just do.
They're stuck.
Yeah, they are not thinking anymore. They just do all their things. They are not. They just do it because they always did it. You know, something like that.
Yeah.
And for instance, we work on the labor market. The scarcity is immense. So that means that we need to tweak also our habits on how to approach people, what do we do with people. And sometimes it's frustrating for consultants if they're still doing their job like they do it like 5 years ago. It doesn't work anymore. So Yeah, we need to help them. We need to ask interesting questions. Yeah, for me it's also, I sometimes compare it to the Socrates method, like asking interesting questions to them.
Yeah.
Not giving the answers, but just asking the questions. I think it's important as manager, as leader, as also as colleague to just ask questions and make them think. And you can ask your questions very small, very tiny, or very open. Philosophical in a philosophical way or very practical, it doesn't mind, but ask the questions and don't give the answers. And when you then combine that with telling stories, that inspires them then, you know. So asking questions and inspire them by sharing all the fun stories or the awkward stories. That was maybe also a fun thing that we did in the management team, because like a few months ago, we were seeing that the contact with the clients was too much by phone or in another way, but not live anymore. They went to their clients, but we would love
to see. I can imagine.
Of course. And after COVID, we said, okay, guys, but it's okay. Go out there and do. First of all, I saw that in the figures that it was too less, in my opinion. And I knew why it was so important, because clients ask for that personal touch, you know. So, but I was thinking, if we are going to say now, guys, you need to do 3 physical visits. That ain't gonna work. Of course, that's again. So no, that's not a thing. So we were looking for an entrance. How can we bring this? And the entrance that we tried was having more fun in your job, because you do not have to sit all the time at your desk. You just can start your working day with going to a client. Just try it. And it wasn't mandatory. They don't need it to do that, but we inspired them with, okay,
different perspective.
Why do you come immediately to the office? Just first go to a client. Then you have a new energy in your day. So that was a thing, and we combined that with every manager posted an awkward story that they had while having a visit at a client. Sometimes it was like, for instance, I was in a very big meeting with the CEO of one of our major clients, and I was sitting on a chair that moved a little bit, and suddenly it moved all the time. I was laying on the floor on a very thick carpet, very soft, but anyway, I was laying there, so I started laughing. And
so you were not injured?
No, I was not injured, but you know, those things happen, and the client laughed, and when I see him now, we are still remembering that thing. What's the worst thing that could happen at that moment? Nothing. But just by sharing those stories with the consultant, they were like, okay, it's fun to go outside.
It's less scary.
And we also made them a funny little thing with a bingo card, where they say, okay, if I go outside and I meet an animal, I can check it on my bingo card. And we made a fun element out of it. For some consultants, they were like, you and your bingo thing, no, that's nothing for me. I go outside because I know it's important for my business, and that's my driver. Others were very enthusiastic about the bingo thing, you know. You always have also to look for what's the entrance to make them move in a certain way. And for some people, it's hard data, and others it's like, okay, fun. You know?
Some game style.
So change the way you approach them. And it's not
customized then, right?
Customize that, personalize it, and it's not because that person is moving on an emotional thing that the next time it has to be emotional again, because on another topic it can be different. You need to ask it, and and the better you know that, the more contact you have with your colleague, the better you can try that. But on the other hand, it's same for me. People bring things to me, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I like that gives me energy, and that can be very dry facts, and on the other hand it can be something extremely
fluffy. Purpose driven.
I think that's being human, no? So that's interesting, and that gives me energy, and that makes me laugh also. So
nice. Well, Inge, I think we're about to go for a wrap.
No.
Just checking in. Anything that we missed that you want to share?
No, I think we ticked a lot of boxes, so I'm happy. I'm happy for having you here. It was it felt like I was like, what did I do special? For me, it was a very natural thing that I was doing. It will be something that I will remember for the rest of my career. That it opened my eyes on the importance of letting every team member being their best self is crucial to me.
Yeah.
So in combination with the data-driven heart.
Yeah. Hashtag.
Yeah, that's my hashtag.
Exactly.
Exactly. So
well, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And I'd say, dear listeners, see you in the next podcast.
Okay. Bye.